Alright guys, welcome back to another Bow Disciples video. I have a new camera and I am super excited to start making videos for you guys. I literally just got this camera in the mail yesterday. So very excited. I have a lot of ideas that we're going to be doing, and you guys really gave me good feedback a couple of videos ago when I asked for help. But in today's video, I'm going to come with an idea that I think is pretty fun, and hopefully you guys enjoy as well. I have in front of me a photo album that I recently made for my dad for his birthday, or no, for Christmas. And this is the cover. This is my dad and me right behind him on a hunt out in Arizona a couple years back. So I want to go through and select maybe a couple different photos and just kind of show you guys overall, just kind of explain the little bit of backstory behind each photo. So let's go ahead and start with one that I think is pretty cool. When we first started javelina hunting, we would go with a huge group, and here's a photo of some of the people in our group. And if you look right here, that's little old James right there in that blue jacket I wore all the time for for years, because I did not grow till I was older. I was a late bloomer, so to speak. But just awesome. And here's a photo of me probably on that same trip, again with the blue jacket, carrying out a javelina that my dad had shot, I believe. Either my dad or our friend Randy shot that javelina. Luckily it was a small one, because I couldn't carry too much more. But man, what memories. That's what's so cool about actual photo albums. Here's another one of me with my blue jacket carrying a javelina. Just classic. So you know, I'm very grateful for those trips. I go javelina hunting every year. And I think I've been going for at least, I think 21 straight years. This next year will be my 22nd straight year, I believe. So this here is a pretty special photo to me as well. This one's taped in, so I'll have to show you guys the full book. But if you look right there, that's my first javelina ever. And what a hunt that was. I had... That's a PSE Spider bow. I actually shot really well with that bow. It was a super good bow. That was the last bow I shot before switching to Bowtech in, I believe, in 2005, I believe. So the story with that javelina is we had been hunting. You know, I'd been hunting several years, and we had been hunting several days that trip. And one day it started raining, and you know, there was just javelina, they like hot weather, so they were kind of in caves or whatever during the rain. And I remember my dad and I were talking, and we said, you know, when this rain breaks, it's gonna be javelina everywhere. You know, you always say that. You always think it's gonna be crazy. And I mean, the rain stopped, and it really was like that. I mean, I think we glassed up a few sets of javelina, or saw some. This was before we really heavily relied on glass. And glassed up that group. I was able to stalk in and made a shot somewhere around 20 yards, maybe like 25 yards or something like that. And yeah, I got my first javelina. That was a beauty too, with the PSE Spider. What memories those are. And then this one right here, this is actually my first big game animal ever. And as you can see, I shot that with a rifle. But this was, I believe, in 2002, and that is a 243. But what's funny about it is I shot that wild boar, and I have him mounted at my parents' house. I shot that wild boar at like 15 yards. We had stalked to where we had kind of seen him. All of a sudden, the bushes rustled. He ran out and stopped broadside right in front of us. And that gun had such a long stock. My dad slid it up under my arm and somehow made a really good shot. He did not go far at all. And yeah, first wild boar. What crazy first big game animal. And wow, what a ride it's been since then. You know, I've been hunting my whole life, so pretty cool stuff. Let's see here. A lot of javelina. Ah, this is a cool picture. This right here is my first. That right there is my first archery deer. Sitting with my dad right there. Again with the PSE Spider. Shot that deer out of a tree stand. Actually, I was hunting by myself. And I remember when I shot that deer, my dad, you know, I called him on the walkie-talkie. This was way before cell phones, or before like they had good service for sure out in the mountains. So I called him on the walkie-talkie, so excited, jumping up and down in my tree stand, and he made me wait till he got there to get out of the tree stand. And it must have been like 20 minutes. It seemed like about 6 hours as a little kid, but that doe didn't go far. And this is a pretty cool one. If you look at this lower picture right here, that is in New Mexico, and we had hunted weeks that trip, and I had got fortunate enough to tag a really good 5x4 mule deer buck with the 5-inch brow tines, and I have that one mounted at my parents as well. But that buck, we were gonna leave, you know, we had processed the buck and we were literally heading back to camp, and in camp few bucks ran across this dirt road, and we got out the Ranger and put a stock in, and right there at camp my dad connected with that fork and horn on our last day. So I mean, just, you never know. You know, so much time behind the glass, so many hours and miles, and he ends up getting a buck right in camp. Just you know, you just never know what's gonna happen hunting. This is a pretty cool one too. This one's taped in also. So if you look at this top picture right here, this was our last rifle hunt in 2013 on the Kaibab. That's a nice 4x4 buck in the snow. Before that, we hadn't done a rifle hunt since 2006. I mean, we almost never hunt with a rifle, and we haven't since. But that buck, he shot in the snow, and it doesn't snow in Kaibab too often that time of year, so it was kind of surprising to get snow. But basically, we were on the track of those bucks. It was him and another buck, and they had actually done like 2 loops as we were on their trail, and finally we connected, and he made like a 280-yard shot or something with the 300 Weatherby mag. Awesome. Not going to go through all of these because I want to do videos like this again, especially if you guys enjoy it, so I don't want to go through this whole album, but we got so many pictures that like I'm going to go through quite a few right now. This one's awesome too. So this right here was, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and that's me and my good friend Barbara Jensen right here. And that was her first ever big game animal, you know. And I've known Barb. I went to elementary school with her son. We're the same age, and I was able to help teach her how to stalk in, and I was right there with her, you know. And I told her just follow right behind me, and I'm tracking the wind, and we got right in on the whole herd, and she made a good shot, and I got one in the same group as well. But it was funny because after the hunt, I told her, I said, hey, you did a good job, did everything I asked, you executed well, but the whole time I could smell you smelled like perfume. So I told her, you got to get that out of here if we're hunting. But again, I mean, you play the wind right, it goes to show. You know, I use scent killers, I use the scent stuff, but at the end of the day, wind is what's really going to make or break you. This is a pretty cool photo. That right there is my 2018 September Arizona over-the-counter mule deer buck. That one's featured on Bow Disciples if you go watch the videos. What a hunt, man. That was one of my coolest stalks ever. Basically, I've told the story before, I'm pretty sure, but you know, it was right at hour left, monsoon rolling in, so wind was just pounding in my face. I had about 2 miles to cover in 30 minutes before it was dark, so I mean, I'm booking like 2 miles running up this ravine, deep ravine, and ended up getting in there and made a 44-yard shot. This is a cool photo right here. That is a 4x4 mule deer buck monster. You can see just has a huge body, really good width. That was a buck my friend Chris had glassed up, and I hunted that buck for like, Chris had to go home, I had to go home for work. I came back out and I hunted that buck for, geez, I don't know, a couple weeks, and had many opportunities on other nice bucks, but I was really after that one and just never was able to quite close the distance close enough. This is a cool picture. That right there is a photo in Montana with me and my dad way back in this bowl. One of the toughest hunting trips I've ever been on, just because of the conditions on where we had to stay and where we were hunting at and the amount of miles and the lack of sleep. And you know, but it was awesome, you know. I ended up not punching a tag, either of us, that trip, but again, it was just awesome. And there's a lot more photos in here, but I want to see, I'm trying to find one photo in particular for you guys, and I think it's somewhere in here, maybe not. Anyways, I have other photos, of course, we're going to go through in the future. This is a pretty cool one too, I guess. Show you guys that right there is me with a jackrabbit I arrowed as a little guy. Look at, he's almost as tall as me. That was with my Bowtech Experience, or Bowtech Equalizer, probably 05, 06 ish. And we'll go ahead and close out with this one. I'll tell this story and get you guys on your way to another video. But that right there is me with a coyote that I shot with my bow. That looks like my Bowtech Equalizer. And crazy story about this photo is, back in this day, there really was not good laser rangefinders, and if there was, they were really expensive. So as a kid, I couldn't really afford my own rangefinder at that time. I don't even know if my dad had one. He might have had one, but again, they weren't that good. So back in these days, we would just pretty much guess yardage for everything. That was just kind of what you did back then. And that coyote, I remember I saw him running across, I was hiking in the yard just hunting rabbits, and this coyote runs up across these rocks, and he, I made a little noise and he stopped broadside. I knew it was a poke, and I think I had like 20, 30, 40 yard pins maybe. So I drew back and I held the 40 over top his back, and let the arrow go, and I mean, smoked him. Super nice. He ran, went down. We went back and ranged it whenever I did get a hold of my dad's rangefinder, and it ended up being like a 68 yard shot or something. And I mean, I put it on the money with 4 yard pins. So man, it's just awesome looking back through these photos. But again, that's it. I don't want to make this video too long or too crazy. I want to do more of these, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Just kind of me telling stories as we look through a photo album. And if I do these in the future, I'll do some older stuff, I'll do some newer stuff, and just kind of maybe even go more in depth with individual stories. But in this one, I just kind of wanted to, go over, a handful of them at once. So anyways, if you guys don't, I would highly recommend making physical hunting albums, especially as you have more and more successful hunts. For me, I love just grabbing this album and looking through it, and I know my dad does too. We have photos from, we have a photo of his first buck in here back in, I think 1978 maybe. I could be wrong. I think that's what year it was though. And then my first deer, and just kind of us starting to hunt together when I was a little guy, and then till now. So highly recommend making a photo album. Again, this is filmed on a new camera, which I'm really excited about, and I plan to do a lot more videos. I don't have my bow right now. It is getting new cams and new limbs before the Total Archery Challenge. So we leave on Wednesday, exactly 1 week from today. I get my bow back Friday, do a couple days of shooting, and we'll be good to go. So thank you guys again for watching. I really appreciate all the views, all the support, all the subscribers, each like, each comment. And obviously, if you enjoy this video, please smash that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.